Carmine, is that you?
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. How you doing? It's Bay.
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Where are you at?
We're in Philadelphia.
Where at?
Philadelphia?
Oh, okay. You got a 718 number.
Yeah, the studio number's a New York number, but yeah, we're out of Philadelphia.
Oh, I might be playing down there in February.
Oh, really? Where at?
That's a new venue called the 2300. Used to be an old wrestling arena or something.
As a matter of fact, I used to be a pro wrestler and used to wrestle out of that arena.
Oh, you did? Yeah. So they totally redid it now. It's a venue for music. So I got this thing called the Rod Experience, which has members of the Rod Stewart Band in it, and we do like this historical tribute to Rod and the band.
Oh, nice.
Got a guy that looks like Rod, sounds like Rod. And I got an all-star band also, like Jimmy Crespo's in it from Aerosmith. He played with Rod for 4 years. Danny Johnson, who's been with Steppenwolf for the last 18 years, he's in it. He played with Rod for 2 years. Myself, and then you got Kenny Aronson on bass, and Alan St. John, who's a keyboard player that was with Billy Squier for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And, so then we have a video presentation that goes behind us or wherever the video screens are. So it should be pretty cool. So it's Valentine's Day, and we're just confirming that now. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So looking forward to doing that. It'll be fun.
You know, it's just by saying that, and with everything else you got going on between the drum wars with your brother Vinny and Rated X with Joe Lynn Turner and Tony Franklin,
right.
It's like you're not going to slow down at all, are you?
No, I love to play, and there's different projects that I put together to play with, and we the drum wars thing we've been doing now for a couple of 2 years, 2.5 years, seriously, and we've done that all over the world so far. We've done it in Europe. We did 20 shows in Europe. We did a bunch of shows in America. We did shows in Canada. So we already have sort of an audience for that, and we were thinking of doing a studio CD, and I said, you know what? Play the Iridium, they record everything. Let's see how that goes, because maybe it's the best way to go with Drum Wars is going to be to go with a live show, because that's really
right.
what the show is. It's a live show, and the CD came out really good. I'm really, really excited about it. And right now we're editing a mixture of a bunch of the different shows we did. With the Stand Up and Shout song, we're putting some of the photos and live footage we have into that video. And what it's going to do is it's going to show the song, but it's also going to show what Drum Wars is actually all about,
Oh, cool.
So we're fixing that up, and that's going to come out in January when we head into phase 2 of the promotion, which will be more radio interviews. My brother Vinny's going on the road with a project which he's going to be help promoting in each city, the Drum Wars thing. And then
okay.
And then we have some Drum Wars shows we're putting together in the Northeast. That's in February also.
Nice.
And then we'll release that one. We got some giveaway things we're working on, some contests, and so phase 2 is going to start up with Smitty and the label's Rockin' Records, which is my label.
Okay.
And it's distributed by Cleopatra and E1. So, because it's my label, we're going to keep pushing it. We have a bunch of PR coming out in January. So, actually in December, we start banner ads this month on different big websites. Modern Drummer Magazine and Metal Sludge, and there's a couple other ones we have banner ads on. So, we're just pushing it along, and it's a lot of fun. I really have a great time when we do this. with me and Vinny.
Sorry about that, Carmine. Selling cars. And
what the hell was that? You get something delivered?
By day, I sell cars. By night, I do interviews.
What's by day? What?
I sell cars.
Oh, what kind of cars?
Used cars.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I like cars. That's one of my passions.
Really? What are you driving now?
Well, right now I have a Jaguar XKR.
Okay.
In Connecticut, and I have a Nissan, like a pimped out Nissan Altima, you know, and then but I've had like a Pantera. I had a '66 Vet. I had a '61 Jaguar Mark 9. I had a '56 Austin Healey 104. You know.
Nice.
I've had a bunch of them. Yeah, I got rid of the Jag and the Pantera recently. I had it for 40 years. I said, how long do I have to have these? You know. So I'm looking to buy one of them new Corvettes. I really like those. So,
they're nice. They are nice.
Well, the only problem is we have a 3-car garage in Connecticut. We have the Jag and another classic car. My girlfriend has a Porsche, and then we got a new SUV. So the 3-car garage is taken up. So if I buy a Corvette, I have to build a garage to put it in.
There you go. Yeah, you know what? It's worth it though. I wish I could do that. I mean, I got 3 cars now, but my main car, my toy, is a 2014 RT Charger, plum crazy purple.
Oh, nice. Yeah. What year is it?
It's brand new, 2014.
Wow, nice. And what are the other 2?
The minivan for the wife, and a little a Geo Tracker for the winter to get through snow.
Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, good. That sounds good.
Yeah, but Corvette
I like the cars. I mean, when I had the other car, you know, I lived in California, so you know, when I had the 104 Austin Healey, I just would have it covered up, you know, outside.
Right.
Yeah, I'd use it, I uncover it, you know, and then I had the other 2 cars in the garage, and then I had the runaround, you know, piece of crap Volkswagen. So good.
Now,
when I lived in New York, I had 2 cars, the Pantera and the Jaguar in the garage, and I had a '66 Vet that I used to keep outside, convertible.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I paid $3,000 for that. Back in 75. Yeah,
wow.
$3,000. Now it's 30, 40, 60. Some people said it was up to $60,000.
Holy cow!
That's God. You know. So, cool. Anyway.
Now, are you just like being a car guy? Like I know myself. If I'm like expecting some good money to come in, like I'm already plotting like how I can get another car and what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
Are you the same way? Like when you got like they say like a big royalty check's going to come in, you're like, all right, what car am I going to buy myself?
Yeah. Well, that's what was going to happen. I'm planning something with some royalties, and when they come in, I'm going to buy a new Corvette. I love them. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Really nice. It's funny, when I was with Rod Stewart, I had all these cars, and they were all down at one point, you know. So we went to rehearsal, and somebody dropped me off, and he said, "Where's your cars?" I said, "They're all in the repair shop." He said, "Hey, for 3 weeks. Well, it had nitrous in it and all that. It was awesome."
Uh-huh.
And I'll never forget that. And then at the end of the 3 weeks, he asked me if I wanted to buy it. And it was only $25,000. The car now is probably worth $500,000. You know?
Wow.
But I didn't buy it because I said, "Well, I got a Pantera. What do I need this for?" You know? So who knew? You know?
Yeah, right. If we only knew.
Yeah. I mean, when I was 17, I bought a brand new in 64. I bought a 64 Chevy Super Sport 327 4-speed. Right? And I ended up building it. I put a 3/4 Crowler racing cam. I put Fuelie heads on it. I put a 411 rear, raised up the front. It had a plaque on the front. It was a silver Super Sport with the bucket seats, a black interior, and I had a plaque on the front that said Silver Cup, And I used to race around Brooklyn on the Belt Parkway and stuff, with all my friends. I was 17 years old.
Wow.
I bought it. I bought it from playing drums, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I wish I had that car now. I wish I had that car now. That's
absolutely.
A beautiful car.
So, all right, it's something else kind of funny, too. Like, whenever Carmine Appice gets mentioned to me, I flash back. I actually met you 2 times years ago. One was in the mid-'80s. You were doing a drum clinic in Philly for the Philadelphia Music Company. It was around '86.
Okay. Oh, yeah, for Tom Myers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was funny, too, because the drums you used were my good friend, my best friend, actually. He had just put them on layaway, and they let you use them. So it was kind of funny, yeah. But he ended up selling them, and now he always, he gets pissed off. I'm like, should never have sold those friggin' drums. But the other time was really weird because it was at the Philadelphia Spectrum. I guess it was around '89 or so. And it was the second night of Bon Jovi being there for the Slippery When Wet
tour. Yeah, Blue Murder.
Yeah, and you guys were just, during Bon Jovi, me and my buddies just decided, all right, we saw him the night before, we're just going to walk the corridors and hang out. And you guys were just walking around, like you just walked off the video set or something. It was like, wow.
I don't remember doing that, but I remember being on that tour. And, I played that Spectrum many times, headlined it many times. Headlined it with Ozzy, headlined it with Rod, headlined it with Vanilla Fudge. Played under special guests with Hendrix at the Spectrum, with Cactus, headlined it with BBA, So and now it's gone, I hear, right?
It's literally it's not even a parking lot.
Was it a mall now? What is it, a mall?
No, they knocked it down. Originally, they were saying they were going to make like a little shopping mall, a hotel and all. They knocked it down, and it's literally just a piece of grass. And back part, the back part of the parking lot, they made a sports bar in the corner of the parking lot.
That was like a historical building. It's like that's like knocking Madison Square Garden down.
Right. Exactly.
What they put up in this place? Nothing. I mean,
nothing.
Another venue like that?
Nothing. I mean, there was talks of all this stuff, but all they've done is opening.
There's no arena. There's no arena in Philadelphia. No.
Well, there's the I guess it's the Wachovia Center now. They keeps changing names every couple of years.
Yeah, of
course.
Yeah.
And they built that one 20 years ago.
And when did they knock the Spectrum down?
About 3 years ago.
Oh, really? So did they still have shows there before they knocked it down?
Oh yeah. They had shows there, and they had minor league hockey, and they had like soccer and lacrosse teams.
What the hell did they knock it down for? Crazy.
I don't know.
Maybe it needed so many repairs that it wasn't worth keeping it.
Yeah,
it was as
weird.
A historical. They could have done something with it. Now it's just sitting there as a piece of dirt.
Yeah, it's a shame. It really is. And I mean, they did a whole big thing. Like I went there to one day. It was you pay $25 for entry, and they had all this stuff just in the middle of the floor, and you go in and just grab whatever you can grab. Chairs.
Really?
Really? Yeah, like couches, like locker room stuff. It was weird. It was just like a free-for-all. Yeah.
Wow. Too bad. That's a great venue.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, so you're also doing the whole Rated X thing now, and you've re-teamed back up with Tony from Blue Murder, and you're with Joe Lynn Turner now. I mean, how'd that all get together?
Well, basically, Frontiers Records, that was their idea. The owner, Serafino, had approached Joe and said, look, I want to put a band together with you with an all-star band, and if you're interested. So Joe said, yeah, I'm interested, but he really didn't think that anything was going to happen because, it's the way Frontiers runs their business and everything. You know, he never thought it was going to come to blossom into anything. And then I had 2 albums on Tears in the last couple of years, 2 King Cobra albums. It was King Cobra, just King Cobra and King Cobra 2, we called it. So I was dealing with Frontiers on that, and I remember I was in L.A., and they came to L.A., and they said, why don't you come up to the hotel, and we want to have a meeting. So I said, okay. So we went up and talked about King Cobra and blah, 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 and then they mentioned this to me. They said, look, we want to put this new band together with Joe and Turner, and we'd love you to play in it. It's like an all-star band. This will be our baby, you know. And you know, who else do you think we can get, you know? So if you're interested. I said, yeah, I'm interested. I definitely like playing with Joe. Joe played with my brother. I played with Joe in '92 in just a Japanese project called Mother's Army. And that was, you know, he's a great singer and a nice guy and all that stuff. So I said, sure, I'm interested. So then they called Joe and told him I was interested. So then Joe said, well, now if Carmine's interested, then I'm interested, you know.
Nice.
So then me and Joe talked, and we talked about who we can get. Originally it was going to be Pat Travers and Rudy Sarzo.
Oh, wow.
But then Pat did a blues album for Frontiers, and he said, look, I don't want to be in competition with myself doing another album for Frontiers, so maybe I should bow out. So he bowed out, and then Rudy got busy. So once Rudy got busy, you know, Joe said, well, who else do you think we should get? I said, well, we should definitely get Tony Franklin. I said, you know, Tony is the other half of, you know, 1/3 of Blue Murder. You know, the 2 of us is 2/3 of Blue Murder, so we might be able to grab a lot of Blue Murder fans, you know.
Right.
And, you know, and he's an awesome player. He's my favorite bass player to play with. So I called Tony. He was into it. And that was all good. Then originally we had Bruce Kulick from Kiss. You know, me, Tony, and Bruce got together in L.A. And, you know, Bruce was a great guitar player and everything. But the problem was once we started thinking about it, we said, you know what, we should try and make this more of a band than just a project.
Right.
You know? And Bruce plays with
Grand
Funk Railroad. So because of that, he couldn't really commit to it. You know, like right now we're looking at dates for May. We're looking at some dates in July, and we're all committed to doing it. Now, we didn't know if Bruce could commit to that kind of stuff, you know, because he has no control over the shows that Grand Funk does. So Bruce bowed out, and then we tried Jeff Watson. We didn't know what happened with Jeff, but we were scheduling a video, and we gave Jeff some tracks, 2 tracks to put guitars on, which is a rhythm guitar or 2 and a lead guitar, and we gave him a month to do it, and for some reason he couldn't do it. I don't know what happened. You know, he couldn't get it together. So then Joe said, look, I got this guy named Carl Cochran who is a monster. He's like a guitar hero waiting, you know, to become a guitar hero, you know.
Wow. And
he's awesome. So he played me some of his stuff. I said, wow, he does sound great. So then so we said, all right, well, let's try him out. Let's see if he can do these 2 tracks. So within 36 hours, he has his own studio. He put the 2 tracks that we needed down, rhythm guitars, acoustic guitars, everything, plus all the leads, you know.
Wow.
And we said, okay, that's it. This is awesome. So Carl was in. So then we flew to L.A. We did the video. We did 2 videos, 2 EPKs. You know, we did photos. We did the whole nut that we were supposed to do. And then Carl came back, and he got right into working on the album. So 7 tracks into the album, he played a gig at the Iridium with Flavor Flav. I went to see him. He was awesome. The next day, he had a stroke.
Wow.
Right? So he was out of commission. He was almost died, you know. And now he's on a recovery. So we didn't know what to do. So after a couple of weeks, we said, well, Joe said, I got this other guy named Nico, who's in Sweden. He's an awesome player. He said he could finish the album for us. We needed him to do 3.5 tracks. So he did that, and we got it finished. So now we cannot, Carl cannot play. Carl, we've been doing benefits for Carl to get him into the, to try and get him better,
Sure.
And, he's getting better little by little, but, so it looks like the first gigs we're going to do are probably in Europe. We have a few offers in America here to do a few shows, which we're trying to work out. But we're trying to actually book the ones in Europe first, so then maybe just before we go to Europe, we'll actually do the ones in America, So that's where we're at. And so basically all we've been doing now is me, Tony, and Joe have been doing massive amounts of interviews for Rated X.
Wow.
Just a lot of interviews. And while Frontiers is pushing it, and, they're doing, we already released 3 videos. We've got another video on the way that should be around hopefully the end of January. And, so now we're going to, after the holidays, do more stuff, more interviews, and whatever we can to keep pushing the album.
Cool. Yeah, and everybody's got to get this album. It's an incredible album. It has, like a classic hard rock feel with. It's got a very modern sound to it. It's very fresh sounding, and it's a great hard rock album. I mean, you guys got to really be proud of yourselves.
Well, it is, and the funny thing is, when none of us were in the studio at the same time, that was all done by the internet. Isn't that crazy?
It's a weird age now.
Sounds like we were all there, right?
And I was wondering that myself. I was wondering if it was like, all right, did you guys do tracks and email them back and forth to each other, or were you actually in the studio at once?
Right. The way it started, this was Frontier's project. They actually own it, So it's like they have this house producer named Alessandro Del Vecchio, who I knew from Italy. I did a tour in Italy, Carmine Appice band, and he was in it, some other friends of mine. And so I knew him. He was a talented keyboard player, a great singer, and he's a house producer for Frontiers. So he started writing song ideas, put them down on a click with the song ideas, and send them to us, and then we would change things. He'd send it back, and then we'd send it back. So by the time I did the drums, we had a good idea of what the songs were going to sound like. But even so, like the song "This Is Who I Am," when I got that song, I had a click. I had like a couple of guitars and a vocal, and not really any bass, to play.
Right.
So when I played it, I didn't like the middle section that he put down. It was very, very hokey, So when I played it, I told my engineer, who I recorded at TKL Marketing Studios in Hohokus, New Jersey, right? And that's where Joe did the vocals also. Joe turned me on to the studio. So I told the engineer when we hit the middle 8 or the solo to cut all the guitars out and just give me the click. So I'm going to put a whole new passageway in there, drum-wise, and I'm going to call Tony, and I'm going to talk to Tony about it and have him put a riff that would fit my riff, that would make it heavier and make it more cool and make it more Rated X,
Right.
So that's what we did. So we did that on that song, and we did that on a few different songs where I would change the drum patterns that would change the whole feel of sections of the song. And then I would call Tony, and I would say, okay, Tony, this is what I did. I'm hearing you do this kind of thing that you did like in Blue Murder, or this kind of thing you did on my Guitar Juice album, So he would know exactly what I'm talking about, and then he would put a bass part that would fit my drum part. And then when Carl did the guitar part, he put it over the bass part that fit exactly what us two were doing. Right? So, but the songs went from me back to Italy, over to Tony, back to Italy, back to New Jersey. Joe did the vocals, then over to Carl. Carl did the guitars to Italy, and he did whatever technical stuff he had to do. And he sent it when they're all finished. Carl had the stroke. When he finished it all, I did percussion, Alexander did background vocal with Joe. Then they send it all to Pat Regan in California. He mixed it in California, sent us email mixes, and me and Joe were on the road. Tony's on the road. We're all listening, and then once we finished the mixes, then we send it back to Italy. They mastered it in Italy and did all the artwork in Italy, and then that was how it was done.
Wow.
And we had so many technical problems. I can't even go into, we had so many technical things happen to us way before we got Carl, and then after Carl, and then, when Carl had the stroke, me and Joe were saying, this album is cursed. We're never going to get this damn thing done, But in the end, we persevered, we focused, and we got it done. And, it ended up being something, totally different than that's out there now,
Right. Now, did you enjoy recording an album like that way, or do you prefer doing it, the old school way where everybody's in the studio working together?
Well, I mean, I like it. I like being able to play drums and being able to build a drum track,
Right.
Which is what we did with this and what I've been doing since probably 1982. All the albums I've done, except for the King Cobra records back in the day, I did like that, from some Vanilla Fudge records to my guitars, to Cactus records, to Travis Appice, all the stuff I've been doing, we've been doing like that. But we in July we did a new Vanilla Fudge record that's coming out in March, and we did it the old way, where we were all in the same room playing. We rehearsed in that room, and we put 2 tracks down, and no more than 2 tracks down of it. And then I would go in and if I liked the drums track, I would keep it, or I'd fix stuff. But we didn't do it to a click. So the whole record wasn't done to a click, which is the first time in years that I hadn't done a record to a click. So, but I enjoy doing it that way with the click and building it because, just like any guitar player or bass player or singer, you can get to build stuff. You can say, I don't like that drum fill there. Let me go in and fix that. Or I don't like what I played in the verse. And you can fix it, build it, and make it really right. But there's you have to know what you're doing. There's energy levels you have to have. You have to know what cymbal you hit, the last time, so it doesn't cut cymbal off. It's just it's a whole different kind of technique when you do that stuff, But I've been doing it for so long. Like our whole Blue Murder album, I recorded the drums, I think, 3 times. Because we kept getting a better drum sound. We said, you know what? Do those other tracks over, And then when we did that album, I made sure that no drum fills were repetition of any other ones. I did every drum fill was a different one. So it was fun, but it was also a horror story with all the technical stuff that went wrong.
Now, when you guys start doing some live shows, are you going to be playing like some Blue Murder songs or any songs from like?
Yeah, we're going to do. Okay. Yeah, we're going to do a little of Blue Murder. We'll probably do Keep Me Hanging On. Maybe some Blue Murder. We'll probably do my heavy version of Do You Think I'm Sexy. Do some Rainbow. Do some some of Joe's. Maybe do a firm song.
Nice.
And then do the rest of the show will be. I would say we'll probably do about a half hour of history, and it's a 90-minute show, an hour of the new stuff, or maybe 45 and 45,
Right. Now, you just said you do a heavy version of Do You Think I'm Sexy?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I never heard that.
Well, if you go online, if you go on to iTunes, and you put up Carmine Appice, Do You Think I'm Sexy, I think it'll come up. It might come up under Guitar Zeus. There's this I think it might come up under Guitar Zeus. But you can hear it on there, and it's pretty wild,
Nice. Yeah, I definitely got to check that out.
Yeah, it's with that version has Pat Travis on it.
Oh, cool. Okay. Now, I mean, with all these different people you've played with through the years, is there anybody left that you really would like to work with?
Well, I would like to work with the Led Zeppelin configuration, whether it's just John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page and me and a singer. I've heard that they're talking maybe to Ann Wilson. There's some rumors that Ann Wilson might go out with them.
Oh, really?
I would love to play drums on something like that.
But do you think isn't supposedly Jason Bonham going to be playing drums with them, or?
Well, I mean, everybody in that band there is legendary.
Right.
The old school legendary. Jason isn't legendary, and he's not old school.
Right.
He's John Bonham's son, but he don't play like John Bonham.
Right.
He plays more. He plays like him. He's not John. He's got that name, but he's not John Bonham. I'm not John Bonham either, but I think my style might be close. Because I came first, and then John listened to stuff I did and did it his own way, and we took him on their first tour, and it was very, very close sounding stuff and feel. When John passed away, there was rumors that I was going to join Led Zeppelin, but obviously they didn't do that. But whatever, I would like to do that. Whether they get Jason or not, I would still like to do that.
Yeah, why not?
In a question like that, who would you like to play with? I'd like to play with the Police too.
Oh, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, because I love that. I love that music. But obviously, if they do a Police thing, it's going to be Stewart. But
sure.
I would like to.
No, I just saw in an interview that you were talking about when you played with Ozzy, and Sharon actually fired you because you were too popular.
That's what she said to me. That was her excuse. If your name is too big, we need more of a sideman. I said, "Oh, wonderful." And and I had a contract and everything. I had to hire an attorney and get it settled out. It was crazy. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be with Ozzy for years and help create music, like I did with Rod Stewart. I was there 6 years. I created, some of his biggest stuff, or help create. I didn't create it, but I was there. I mean, I brought the engineer in, Andy Johns, that did, all the engineering and all the great sounds on those records that we did, Hot Legs and Feeling I'm Sexy and Passion and all that stuff,
Right.
And, You In My Heart, Andy Johns did all that, So, so I helped. And that's what I wanted to do with Ozzy, but she had other plans. She didn't like the fact that I was getting press on my own, even though I told them when I first joined them that when I play in America, I do master classes, I get a lot of press. It's like human interest stories, Because,
right.
there I'm playing like an arena, and then in the afternoon I go to a music store for 50 students to help them, And, and I used to donate money to UNICEF also, a charity. So, I got a lot of press out of it, and I shouldn't like it, But that was my message in Houston, Texas. Your name is too big, but Tommy Aldridge is going to join the tour. You're out of here. Come on.
Wow, that's crazy. Now, how about a guitarist like Jakey Lee? I mean, did you ever think about maybe getting in touch with him? Or?
Well, yeah, but Jakey Lee's been out of the business for 25 years. He's a bit out there, you know what I mean? He's you don't like to talk on the phone. You don't want to do interviews. It's he'd be a perfect one for Rated X.
Well, I mean, he's got a new album out and he's been touring around.
Yeah, I know, but he's been touring as Jakey Lee. But before that, he disappeared. And
right.
Still,
yeah, that's true.
He still won't give out his phone number to anybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So, so I'm not sure. He'd be a perfect guitar player for us, but attitude-wise, I'm not sure that would work.
Wow.
Gotcha. No, I just saw him last week in New York. And and as an example, a friend, the lead singer of the Drum Wars album, this guy Jim Green, lives up in Buffalo, and he was opening up for Jakey's band up in Buffalo area. So, So Jakey, he told Jake, who's with him, he said, I play with Carmine. I'm going to be calling Carmine. Carmine would like to say hi to you. So he called me up. He said, hold on, I'm going over to Jake. And so he said, hey, Jake, I got Carmine on the phone. I'd like to say hi. And Jake said, I don't get on the phone. I don't talk on the phone. And then so I just saw Jake in New York. I said, what the fuck was that about? He goes, you know me. I don't like talking on the phone. I said, come on, dude. How long do I know you? He said, yeah, I know, but I just don't like talking on the phone. So, I mean, the guy don't like talking on the phone, especially the way we did this record. We'd be dead. We'd be dead in the water. Because we didn't have the phone and Skype and all kinds of, internet connections when Joe was in Europe and I was in Europe and, we were all over the world between me and Joe, and Tony was out with Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and it's like, you don't like the phone. Are we crazy here? I mean, you gotta communicate with the phone,
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's wild.
That won't work. That won't work because of that fact,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But as a player, he's a good player, but he's been really, he's been out of it for 25 years.
Yeah. I
mean, I remember when they did, he did that metal show. My brother Vinny was on with him. And they asked him, where you been for 25 years? Come on, dude. 25 years you've been out of the business,
Yeah, that's that's a long time.
That's crazy. That's a long time. If I was out of the business 25 years, it'd be a very, very difficult situation to get back into it because, number one, drummers it's a different story with drummers than guitar players. Guitar players there's a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1, in the size of the guitar business and the guitar player versus a drummer. I mean, you can have 3 guitar players go out on a tour, like they're doing a tour in January with my brother. It's Uli John Roth, Vinnie Moore, and Greg Goldie. None of them are really big, giant guitar players. But they're playing, good-sized rooms, and they'll probably have, 3 of them will fill up the room. Now, if you took 3 drummers on the road, you wouldn't fill up the room probably because they're drummers. It's just a different audience for guitar players. So, Jake is lucky he's a guitar player. A singer can do that. I mean, Jeff Beck did that all his life.
Right.
Jeff Beck would, he'd disappear for 6-7 years at a time. He comes back, and his audience is there with open arms, waiting for him.
Right.
So I mean, it's just totally different when you're a guitar player versus being a drummer. That's why, drummers. A lot of drummers do a lot of things because it's a different business for drummers. And that was told to me by Buddy Rich, the original. He said you get your name to a point where you're well known, and then nobody hires you because you're well known. like the vibe I got from Sharon,
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
so
how about
he told me that.
How about somebody like a Dave Grohl? What do you think of him?
I think Dave Grohl's awesome. He's a great drummer and a great artist in general. I mean, and he's taken a whole drummer approach to his career. He's not just letting it. Most people in that position, as just a guitar player or a singer, they won't be doing movies, they won't be doing documentaries. But see, that's like the drummer in him,
Right.
Doing other things. He's doing other things. But he's a great artist. I mean, I met him a few times, and he told me he listened to me with BBA and with Rod Stewart and stuff like that. But when I saw him play on drums, I said, man, he's an awesome drummer.
Yeah,
he's an awesome drummer, and he went to guitar and made it with a second group, made it just as big with a second group. He's a great drummer. The kid Taylor Hawkins is a great drummer too.
Right.
Great rock drummer. With these guys, they told me, both of them told me they listened to me and Vinny. And so it's good. It's interesting.
What's that like for you? Like when you have guys in the business like a Dave Grohl come up to you and say, like, I listened to you. You were an influence on me.
Well, I mean, I've been doing this, since 47 years. I mean, I started as I first realized I influenced people when I influenced John Bonham and Deep Purple guy, Ian Pace,
Right.
So back then it was like, oh my God, wow, how cool is that? Now I'm sort of a little spoiled. I'm used to it,
Right.
So I mean, even though I've read things that I've influenced Neil Peart and and Tommy Lee and all these people, and it's like nice, good to hear. It's good to know that we're really, it's something that I've been used to. But I also wrote an instructional book that some of the really great drummers of the world went through. Like Dave Weckl. You know who he is, Dave Weckl?
No.
Well, Dave Weckl is in the drumming world, he's like a huge drummer. And he's a jazz rock guy. And when I met him, he said, thank you for, my book was called Realistic Rock. He said, thank you for Realistic Rock. I said, why? He said, I went through it. I go, wow. I mean, then I met Andrew Dice Clay, who's a drummer. He went through my book. Which is crazy. And then Joey Jorgensen, you know him, right?
Yeah.
Slipknot, he went through my book also. So there's a lot of guys that actually went through the book, which is, great for me because the book became like the Bible of rock drumming kind of book,
That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I did all those clinics. I mean, I was the first rock musician to do a clinic. I've been doing clinics since '71. I built the clinic up to a gigantic thing with big audiences and stuff. But now, the clinic is sort of overdone. Now with the internet sort of, the internet's great for certain things, but destroyed a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Destroyed, like stuff on the internet getting downloaded for free, my drum book being one of them, record sales being another one.
Yeah.
And, so it's sad that because these are copyrights. These are things that we own. These are, things that we worked to develop,
Yeah.
I mean,
and people just steal them every day.
And they're just stealing them, And there's no way the government can control it. And it's terrible,
Yeah.
Really
it's
terrible.
It's a sad thing. It really is.
It is sad. I mean, my drum book sales are down 60%.
Wow.
Because of the internet. I went online one time. I used to chase this down, but I keep closing these websites down, and then they open right up somewhere else. Get a different thing. You just put free download, Carmine Appice, Realistic Rock, and bam, there they come.
Wow.
I had one website had 1,500 downloads that month.
Oh.
I mean that's a lot for a drum book.
Absolutely.
A good selling drum book would sell 10,000 a year. That's what we were doing. And to get 1,500 downloads in 1 month, that's 15% of what you're supposed to have in the whole year. It's terrible.
Right.
That's just the way it is. So
unreal. But all right, well, Carmine, I want to thank you so much for hanging out. It's great talking to you. I'd love to talk to you again sometime in the future. Promote some more stuff. Maybe when you come to
line it up. line it up with Smitty. Smitty's going to be
Yeah,
on the radio.
I will.
Yeah. Okay.
Two things though. Before I let you go, one important question, which I interviewed Joe yesterday, and I asked him this question. I ask all my fellow Italians this question: do you call it gravy or sauce?
Well, I used to call it gravy. It's like I called it macaroni too, you know.
Right.
And but now, you know, when I moved to LA, and everyone called it sauce and pasta. So I joined that. But when we're back home, you know, like in Brooklyn or we're at the family, you know, I'll go to my sister. She's cooking. I'll go, "Where's the gravy? I want to put some bread in it." Where's the Italian bread? What did Joe say?
It's always gravy. It's always gravy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, gravy. Yeah, it is gravy.
That's awesome.
That's funny. So you must have got all this stuff from Joe yesterday too about the album and the recording it everywhere and all that shit.
You know, I got some of it from Joe, but a lot more. I didn't go really into the whole actual recording of it with Joe, so a lot of that stuff was all new with you. Yeah.
Okay, good. Right.
And if I could just get you to cut an ID for me, you know, this is Carmine Appice, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Okay, you got it. Ready? Hi, this is Carmine Appice, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Awesome. Carmine, thanks so much. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this together with Joe's interview, and I'm going to do like a whole Rated X special for you guys.
Oh, great. Cool.
Cool.
And if you want to do something, maybe if you want to do something in January with my brother, maybe you can do the same for Drum Wars, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to.
Again, that's Smitty, too. That's Smitty also.
All right, cool. What song do you want me to play off of the album? And pick like a deep track, not one of the singles.
Yeah, La Hasa.
That's what Joe picked.
Okay. Well, I'll pick Peace of Mind.
Got it.
Okay.
All right, Carmine. Thanks so much.
Okay, dude. Talk soon.
All right, man.
Hey,
take care.
Why don't you play Stand Up and Shout too from
Drum Wars? You got it. I'll do that.
Cool, man.
You got it.
That was great.
All right, have a good holiday, Carmine.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You too.